Welcome to the Archive.
What's going on? Archive number 22.
I don't know about you,
but I'm feeling 22.
Nice.
So today, we're just going to got some topics and questions from people on social media.
You great, wonderful people.
And then Cody and I will probably just go on tangents about it.
Yeah.
So, let's fucking kick
Talk
it off.
About it.
Let's see. We got... the first one is, are you gay? The answer is, for the honest truth, what it is when I was a kid, I grew up in a really small town, and it was just like...
So you just bottled it all down.
No, and people would just get so, upset if you did anything that wasn't considered, manly, and I just kind of took it and ran with it, and it was, I guess, anytime, I would paint my toenails or fingernails back in the day.
I remember the first time, so the first shows that I ever went to with Trey, I remember seeing him. He never wore shoes. I'm pretty sure that there was I don't know, probably a maroon color on his toenails.
And that's my favorite color, bro.
Yeah, so that, and then just a Big Time Rush t-shirt every single time I saw him. No shoes, nails always painted, Big Time Rush t-shirt.
Yeah, so that all was, I guess, just to piss people off because I was a rebellious teen.
Nice.
And then people get so offended about it. If you suggest that they're gay and they're not, and they would always get really mad. And so, kind of like a defense mechanism, too. Because I remember going out on New Year's one time, and this guy said that I was too short to be in their conversation. For some reason, I don't know why he hated me. But, so then the whole night I was just being super gay to him. And then, I think it's just, I don't know, being comfortable and not really caring what people think. So thanks for that question.
Even if you were gay.
Yeah, who cares? It's not something, it's 2019, bro.
Exactly.
Nobody really cares anymore.
Who's even really straight?
Yeah. Let's see. I should have pulled these up beforehand. But you know what? Half
Doing
improv
it on the
cast.
fly.
That's right. I guess a cool topic to go into is my mom always says that we should watch what we say on the podcast. And I think that's really interesting because there's so many, she's always worried that if it ever blows up someday, we'll say something that could come back and bite us. We won't be able to,
that's
do something.
I mean, I understand wanting to,
I just think I think that's something that's ridiculous when you pull up something from somebody's past, 17 years ago.
I feel at the same time, a whole ton of things that are expressed to show that, our honest views are really, really like this. It's just
and everybody can always take something out of context,
Yeah, absolutely.
But I think it's sad when people are getting attacked for something that they said a long time ago that was taken out of context. I think it's a really...
They're using bits and pieces of a much larger thing and making it completely blown out of proportion.
Yeah. And like the thing with Kevin Hart.
Oh, yeah.
Where he couldn't host the, was it the Grammys? Because of something.
Yeah.
And he's a comedian, and then he posted something comedic, and it got taken out of context. And yeah, I think it's just always context and knowing who the person is, because you're not going to know who somebody is through one line of dialogue. We make fucked up jokes all the time, but I would say for the most part we're very supportive of everybody. And
you're very open, very not judgmental at all.
Yeah.
We're human beings, so we have these whether we like to admit it or not, we all judge people based off what we see from the get-go. But it's if you let that perception just completely run everything you think, and if you're not willing to accept that like, oh, maybe this person can be good or is a good person, and you just take one little thing. Well, and it's just like a minuscule amount of people that are really taking this stuff out of context. It's just like a lot of, from what I've seen, especially like, you know, there's not a like ton of homophobes out there. There's not like 9 times out of 10, majority of people here in the U.S. anyway that you see, they're like, okay, somebody's gay, like, okay, they're accepting of that. Somebody is, trans, okay, accepting of that. They don't understand it, and they're open that they don't understand that, but it's like, they're not, like, majority of people aren't bashing,
Right.
like the media says that they are, and
I think most people, especially in our generation, are more supportive of like most things.
oh yeah, and it's only gonna get more that way, you know. And I would say even like, generations before us, because it's even like, like I don't know about my parents because they're still like some in that age group, but I look at like my mom, and I was never, she was never, maybe her parents in that age, it's still a little rough, but I feel like this progression takes time.
Mm-hmm.
It's gonna take us time to get there, and it's like we have made gains on it, and of course it'd be nice if everyone could just be so accepting of it.
Well, you always get like setbacks too, because what happens is like I think that the movement of like accepting everybody was really good, but then you get people who take it to the extreme, and like so when you have those people that take it to the extreme, it's like you have to allow people to be called whatever they want, and like pronouns is fine. That's something that like I don't. It's weird for me if you want me to call you they them, but like it's not my place to be like, no, you're not that. It's like, and it doesn't hurt me to just say that whether I believe in it or not. Like I get that some people might think that it's, like I'm not gonna call somebody that, but like just ignore the like why have confrontation with that person, especially if you're only gonna be around them for a little bit. Just call them what they want to be called, and then go on with your life.
And it's not even so much as in those situations that you even have to go out of your way much to like refer to them as something. Just to, like, don't talk to, just don't say he or she, and pretty well you're set. Like it's really just that easy. Like, when you're talking about them to someone else, and that's what really just where it comes up, and just like I could say anything. I wish that people would just like a majority of us are accepting and want you to be who you want to be, and if you feel like you're something or someone else inside yourself, then be whatever makes you happy. But it's just like it's like even that's just not making people happy, trying to be who like they feel like they
like I said, I think
more.
Like extremists take that on the wrong side, so then it makes other people who are kind of in the middle be like, oh, that is ridiculous, So I think that's kind of the setback in our time right now, is that I think the movements to allowing people to be who they are is good, but then when you get the people who like I think the feminist movement's good, but then you get feminists that are like men are evil. That's like a setback of like the movement's good, but then it's the same with like Black Lives Matter or the Me Too movement, is like these all start off as really good things, and then like the extremists take it too far, so then the people in the middle are like, that's fucking ridiculous, and then it kind of, their mindset changes about it, whereas they might have been accepting, now they're just like, oh, Black Lives Matter, well, Blue Lives Matter, what about that, and so then you get all this like crazy stuff, all lives matter, when it's like the Black Lives Matter movement was just to like, hey, these people definitely have struggles that we don't understand, but then, and like when you say all lives matter, like they're not saying that, it's more just like there's been certain struggles.
Yeah, they're not saying that all lives don't matter. Yeah. They're saying that like they're starting to, they're just making an emphasis on that, and you're completely allowed to do that, and there's nothing wrong with that. And anybody will like, supporting who you are and supporting people who are like you and have the aspirations, and just like like they've had a tough bout, and to try and work above that and try and be proud of and be strong.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I completely 100% support that. But like you said, when people take it to extremes and then they start demeaning everyone else,
Yeah, exactly.
like, that's
and then
when it
they just
becomes
start
a problem.
attacking the other side, and so then it's just like we're back to square one because now you're attacking this other side.
Mm-hmm.
Some of it's very hypocritical and stuff. I had another question that ties back to with me being gay. If M Shadows was a man, would you have sex with him? Yes. I don't know if people know my love for Avenged Sevenfold fully, but
I mean, they should.
yeah, you should by now. But I love Avenged Sevenfold. So,
And I would even probably take seconds after that.
yeah, hell yeah. These are jokes, Mom. But
Not a joke for me.
all right. So, the American business environment has fundamentally changed following the insider trading and savings and loan scandals. Explain business ethics and how they are applied today. Yes. That's a quote from Billy Madison.
Oh yeah. What you're gonna do?
Yeah. Let me just solve it.
First, here's what we do. First, you have your one man up top, okay? Then this one man up top, you get two people that want to invest, and then they get two people, you know?
Yeah.
And then it's just like a ladder,
yeah.
you know? And
like a circle.
Close, but like, you know, it's almost like, I don't know, what would you say? I don't want to say pyramid scheme because that's dirty, but because it's not like that. But it's just like
a triangle scheme.
Yeah, not a scheme.
Yeah,
you know,
a
it's
triangle.
a business. I don't know.
A business triangle.
Business triangle.
Yeah. The really interesting. I had two kind of tying into this. Pete Townsend saying that the guitar's possibilities are literally exhausted, and then the other one. Hold on, because these two kind of tie together. Was about the guitarist to Polyphia. Oh, come on, internet. I guess. Oh, wait. So Tim Henson from Polyphia said guitar music is dying and he wants it to die a slow, painful death. So I think these are really interesting.
Okay.
And this is something I definitely want to go into. When it comes to guitar possibilities exhausted, I agree in certain aspects, because there is a limited amount that you can do, but I think that we enjoy things that are kind of familiar, as well, and I think that you can take influence and twist it, and it's something new.
Yeah.
So I think for guitar to, like, ever really go away would take a long time, and I don't think it ever will, because as time goes on, people haven't heard every song. So, like, things are always going to be new to people.
Man. I think it's the fact that we have, like, whereas, like, a deck of cards has, what is it? The count of different ways a deck of cards could be shuffled. Like, there is a limited amount, but it's still a huge, like, amount, but like the fact on guitar there is only so much that you can do, that like you're kind of set in between some guidelines, so this is what you have to work with, and then like what can you do off of that. And it's like a lot has been done, there's a ton that's been done, but something that's amazing is that two people can sit down and play the same exact song and the same exact notes, and it can be completely different.
For sure.
So it's like, maybe if there was like a limited amount of people, a limited amount of artists, then everything would be exhausted at some point.
Right.
But as long as there's going to be different musicians, different people playing, and different styles, meshing together, because that's obviously a big thing in today's age that I feel like's been coming for the past, especially like, I don't know, what, 15, 20 years is like a meshing of genres, and that's especially far more apparent today in pop music and hip hop and metal and
that
everything.
Goes into like Polyphia and him saying guitar's dying. I don't think the guitar is gonna die. I think it's always interesting when these people who are successful say certain things like this, because like you've made a career out of it, and I think once you kind of succeed, you get kind of bleak,
Yeah.
you know. And it's
You
like
hit your
Misha
goal.
always talking about how you can't make money in music. You know, that's why they have their side projects.
Oh yeah.
But it's like, how much money are you talking? Like, I guarantee, you know, you could make $30K a year between 5 members and support the band.
Yeah.
You know, like, I don't think that's ridiculous. Like, $200K a year on music.
But are you going to make them, you know, multi-million-dollar?
Right. Yeah, that might be different.
You can, but it obviously, like you said, is going to have to go into the business aspect of it. Like, it's about marketing yourself once you have that, you know, and that's what musicians have to do today. And that's an amazing thing because you can have something tied to your name, you know.
Right.
Like,
people like follow you for you.
Exactly. It's
crazy.
not that you can't get paid. It's just like maybe you're not, you know, because there's YouTubers out there making like, look at Jared Dines, dude. Something that's amazing, you know, is this dude. He has a massive following of, you know, musicians, like bedroom musicians, all the way to, you know, like Matt Heafy and Trivium. And then he just played with Breaking Benjamin. And then now, as of today, you know, like he's selling that 18-string guitar. Yeah. You know, and I told you that he was putting that up for auction, and him and Stevie T are both doing that. And it's like he posted it today on eBay, and within 2 hours, it was like over $13,000 for that guitar.
That's crazy.
So it's just like, you know, if you think that, you know,
I think it's
things
just
are exhausted, then you've like limited yourself somewhere.
Exactly. It's like, I guess if you take it in the sense of I'm gonna play metal and that's it, then yes, I think things can get exhausted. But when people start experimenting, and that's what Polyphia did, you know, using guitar in like hip hop fashion, you know, and like accenting, like they're phenomenal. I love their music. And I think it's innovative and different, and that's why they kind of succeeded in that path.
Yeah.
And I think that innovation's always going to trump like exhaustion. Like I think people will keep innovating with new technology, just like you were saying, YouTube. Like guitarists are making a living off of YouTube.
Yeah, and there's people never leaving the room, you know, and making 6-figure salaries and going to like NAMM and getting stopped, you know. Every which way, like probably more than like some big artists that are out there touring all the time, you know, on the grind, doing it the old way, like, you know, and they're, you know, like Robert Baker, for instance, he's amazing. He does guitar lessons, you know, and he straight up talked about he doesn't want to leave his room. Yeah, he doesn't want to go tour. He just wants to sit at home. He wants to make videos and he wants to play guitar. And he, you know, I don't know how much he makes, obviously, but he's doing well. He supports his family. Yeah. You know?
Yeah, so I just think, like, having a bleak output really starts dampening your ability to, like, want to try all this. And it's, like, which is crazy because I think everybody should, especially in this day and age, like, now's the time to try whatever. I get, like, our parents being, like, I can't follow my passion, you know? Like, it was just a different time, but nowadays, it's, like, you can work your career and still put out like good stuff, and you never know what's going to come from it. And just having the outlook of like guitars dying, there's only so much that you can do, is just really.
He thinks he has like Pete Townsend, you know, he's very experimental, so it's not that he doesn't experiment, but it's like, is he really going that far outside of what he's done, or is he still just like experimenting in the like limitations of what he's messed with?
Well, and that's the thing with music too, is like it's always endless. Like you're never like, you've never hit so much knowledge that you're done.
Yeah, for sure. Learn some more theory, you know, pick up another instrument, like learn a new way to do something that you're not comfortable with, you know, like something that I respect, man, and even though like I may not be the biggest fan of like the music, but like Danny Warstomp from Asking Alexandria, you know, like he came out with a freaking country album because he needed something different, and he's psyched about music again. He was psyched to do that. He was like, screw you if you don't like it. I'm doing it for me because I do enjoy it. And then it's like he stepped outside, and then he was like excited to come back and do metal again, you know, because he got to step away from it. Right. Like do something that's different for yourself, and it's like, you know, dude from Polyphia, like, you know, it's like, yeah, you're an amazing guitarist because, you know, and it's cool that you can put your stuff into an arpeggiator and then like learn how to play that.
Mm-hmm.
But it's like awesome. Like try something else then.
Yeah.
You know, like
Yeah.
try a different style.
I just think that people think that like metal is or rock or any of that stuff is not like popular anymore, and I don't. It might not be like it was in the '90s where it's, you know, like that's pop, you know, like how pop music is now. But the fan base is still out there, and I don't think that's going to go away ever. I think that the reason that I gravitated towards like rock and metal is I think instrumentally it's just so much more complex, and you can do a lot more with it. Whereas like if you're just writing like pop or something, usually you have, I would really love to hear like a progressive pop band, you know, like that would be interesting.
Oh yeah.
You know, because like with metal, I shouldn't, not for us necessarily. We mainly play in drop C, which puts us at like C minor, and we try to stay away from that. I think that's something a lot of people fall into, is whatever tuning your guitar is most of your songs are in that key. But I mean, there's people who are crazy smart out there and can, you know, like Norman from iGriever, you know, he'll have so many different keys and genres and everything's kind of, you know, based around the guitar because that's what he plays, but then he also brings in elements from other things.
Mm-hmm.
And so I think that in a sense, if you're sticking with one genre, it might be hard, but it's also, like you said, people play differently. You can play the same notes and it's different. Chris and I play completely different.
And you both got your own styles.
Yeah, there's just like
nuances and everything that makes it great, and it's bringing those together that makes something that, you know, is like special that you guys couldn't do on your own.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah. So yeah, I mean, you can play a song in C minor and beat the hell out of that key, and eventually it'll get tiresome, and you do have to branch out. But that's the joys of music, is figuring out like, okay, this song sounds like this song. Mm-hmm. You know, like what do we have to start doing to make things different? And that is the hard thing about music, but it's also the possibilities, I feel like, are pretty endless.
Yeah. And I think that's also something, like, the fact that music can sound like something else is something that, like, a song can sound like another song. While that may seem, like, while there's a lot of, like, turmoil to that, I feel like that's a lot of saving grace for a lot of people. Because when I listen to music and when I hear a good song, it's just like, oh, you know, like, I'm always looking for like parts that I might like, you know, you can look for their influences in it, because I know, who was it? I'm trying to think. I don't think it was Dave Mustaine. No, it was it Marty Friedman though? Maybe. I don't know. He's like, whatever it was, the quote may be, he's like, you know, it's like, oh, you know, your album sounded a lot like so-and-so or a lot like so-and-so, and he's like, well, good, that means you can tell who I was listening to a lot at that point in time. Like, I feel it's great to, you know, that you can pass those things along, and then it's it really helps you out when you're trying to write music, you know, because it is hard to try and just like, you know, come up with something out of nowhere. But if you can take something like a riff that you love or some chords that sit really pretty in your ear and you can make them your own and work off that, then like, because that's really what a lot of music is, you know. Like you got to go back to the basics sometimes, and that's the most like basic thing there is being a musician. It's just like, you know, because like, look at your old stuff, you know, how many solos do you have that are straight, you know, Avenged Sevenfold ripoffs? Like
Zero. I mean, and like that's the thing too, I don't ever want to get into like we're intentionally ripping off Avenged.
No. I mean, and I'm not talking about Archeons either. I'm talking about, you know.
Oh, back in EOE days. When I was a kid, it was a lot worse.
But that's where, you know, that's something that started you to be able to start playing and writing your own solos.
Right.
And like,
yeah, very true. And that's such a true thing too, is like you have to have influences to get you to like what you kind of want to be. Like that, the dueling guitar things is what I fell in love, like what made me fall in love with Avenged, and like harmonies and stuff, vocal harmonies. I've always loved harmonies, and that's really what I wanted to bring to Archeons. was like dueling guitars and vocal harmonies, because those are like my two passions. And then I also love Final Fantasy and orchestra. So then I started putting in, like trying to really learn how to compose orchestra pieces and adding small elements of that in. And I think we're all kind of big fans of pop. And so just taking the influence of like how pop is structured, or like we have a song called Pop Metal coming out soon, and it was very pop, like alternative rock pop. You know, I mean but
Yeah, I know.
anyway, just kind of taking that simple structure and trying to start the song off by just building a strong foundation, and then you can throw in your dueling leads on it, put in vocal harmonies, add in the orchestral and like cinematic stuff, and like it just becomes this. I'm pretty stoked on it because I feel like it is just kind of a cool blend of things that we love.
Yeah, for sure. And it's just like it's a whole bunch of different things, all, like a little piece of here that you love and a little piece of there that you love, like that you've added together and made your, own beautiful thing out of all of it, and it's just like there's nothing else that's quite like it,
Yeah. And so you just have to have influences, and then people will have somebody might like this band, and then like I'm sure there's tons of musicians that love Avenged Sevenfold or Periphery or Memphis Mayfire, but they don't sound exactly like us because they have other influences that they're pulling in and putting into their music. So like that's just kind of how I feel like with music, everybody's gonna kind of sound different while sounding similar.
Yeah.
Like you'll have similar influences,
have to sound
but
similar because it's like you're in a confined space, so it's just like we're still at the end of the day all playing on guitars.
Right.
At the very,
so
at the
there
very bare
is,
bones of it.
a limit to it, but I just don't think that we're gonna get exhausted from it anytime soon.
No,
that's just how I feel. Let's see. Are rap artists the new rock stars, or are they full of shit? That's interesting. I think that rock stars, I guess it depends on how you define rock star.
Yeah, like what kind of rock star are you talking about?
Do they drink and party? Probably. And they have bomb-ass concerts. I think that's another thing, like taking influence. So rap artists do a lot of things that rock stars from back in the day did. And that's probably because they saw that shit and they were like, that's cool.
Yeah.
Let's do it in our genre. And so now, like Kanye and his, not that people didn't have big shows besides rock stars, but I think a lot of those like live shows and like the big live shows came from like rock.
Yeah, because there was that energy there. Like people are all out, balls to the wall, turn it up to 11.
Because there's mosh pits at rap concerts sometimes.
Yeah, man, and it's just they're as far as like that rock star mentality, maybe so, but I feel like as long as there's still rock stars out there that are playing like rock. But there are rock stars out there.
I don't think that anything will ever beat like rock stars in a sense of just because like these people have honed their craft of learning an instrument and then coming together and playing it as a band, and like these are people who are elites that have put thousands of hours into their individual instrument, thousands of hours together, and then thousands of hours on all the behind the scenes shit that goes on in music.
There will never be, like, in my opinion, and this is just my opinion, there will never be anything better than some like badass motherfucker up there like shredding on a guitar in front of like 10,000 people. Like nothing's ever gonna like that's the most rock star shit there is. Like,
but I think that's cool that other genres take that, and like because country artists, they can fucking shred. Some of them.
Well, yeah.
Chris is obsessed with Zach Brown band.
9 out of 10 fucking country artists know probably music theory better than most of them. Like any of us, because they just, especially if they have like a bluegrass background, and they learned theory in a whole new way because it's just like they. So it's just like some of the runs that they do though, like tell me some of that shit ain't metal. Like you see somebody and they're running around an acoustic guitar just like or a banjo and tell me they can't, like Throw a little distortion on that bitch,
Right,
and then
yeah,
it's just
exactly.
like instant.
Well,
like
that's
a
the
heavy
crazy thing
riff
about those
under it.
genres is like when they're shredding like that and there's no distortion. It's just like that's what I was telling Chris about Zach Brown Band. I was like, imagine playing this stupid fast solo, but you have no distortion.
Yeah.
Like that's ball.
That means you're crisp, and that means you're good, and you got talent. That's amazing. And that's why I love bluegrass, because bluegrass is very progressive, you know.
For sure. Yeah. And so I think that rock stars will always be rock stars.
Being a rock star, there's a mentality to it as well. And I felt like anybody in any genre could probably have that, you know, mentality.
Yeah, exactly. Well, and I think it's cool for people to like say that they're the next rock star. Yeah, you know, no matter what genre you're in, because that's taking influence. And then some people are gonna be like, "What's a rock star?" You know, and like that might bring people to rock and metal.
And there's no shade thrown at all. I definitely think that there's some rap stars out there that are rocking it. You know, like without a doubt.
Yeah, like Red Drop Click. You know, they all have their, you know, rock and metal influence and stuff. And Throw Down. I'm gonna go see them. Shit, that's tomorrow.
Oh yeah.
And everything. And so yeah, I think it's cool, and I really do think we're kind of getting to a time where like genres start crossing a little bit. Like Travis Barker playing on so many pop songs now, and you know, I think all that stuff's cool, and I think that's where it should go. And I, you know, because you're gonna.
And artists are leading us there, and it's like it's the music industry, from what I see, that you know are trying to hold this back, holding this like mixing of genres. I mean, like some pop music, but it's just like, and it's even, you know, on the rock side, because it's just like, you know, Halsey, that song that she did with, what was it?
Travis Barker.
Yeah,
11 minutes.
Yeah, 11 minutes. Like, she was not allowed to even be put on an alternative playlist, like, for this, like, you know, just
really?
Like, they wouldn't even put her in the running for that, because they're like, it's too pop. So it's not that it's not happening on, you know, our side either, because it's just like, the industry in every which way is going to like, but it's definitely artists are obviously shifting that and showing that's the way to go, you know, and that's something that's amazing, and it's not even going to be questioned in some time. But
it's very interesting, just kind of the way the world's going in general, because this is off subject, but not really. Sony and Xbox and Nintendo are all cross-platform now, so you can play online with people from every platform, no matter what you own, and that's fucking nuts. And so I think it's just like everything's starting to cross over into each other, and like it's just this kind of, I guess it goes back to the acceptance movement too, of like everything starting to become accepted, where it's, you know, okay to do that. It's like you have your platform, but like when I was a kid, I was a huge dickhole about like Sony's #1, fuck Xbox. You know, and now it's just like, I don't care, because I realize that's
you
goofy.
can base off like go what's like. You're like, oh, I can, you know, it's like I love PlayStation, but it's like my buddy loves Xbox, and now we can still like fucking shoot each other on Call of Duty, and that's awesome, because it's like cool, no matter how far we want to go in our own things, the moment that we can bring stuff together, we can shoot that 10 times higher. You know? So it's like that's something that I think is amazing. You know.
But yeah, it all kind of ties back to just like starting to be cool with things, except politics. It's like the only thing that I feel like people are still like really divided.
Sure.
Nobody's like accepting of one side. Well, I shouldn't say that.
We still got a whole ton of old heads in there.
Yeah. But I guess I shouldn't say, because I feel like most people I talk to aren't necessarily like Republican or Democrat. They're just kind of like whatever sounds good. Yeah. And so I guess more so it's just because a lot of the older generations are probably in there, and so you hear more of that. But like I feel like most people our age,
that's what the media tends to cover a lot of media. I feel like the media likes to blow everything out of proportion. You know, they talk about you know, things are horrid. They take every little tiny bad thing and they blow it up completely out of proportion, where it's like, you know, the U.S., for instance, and I'm just talking our statistics because I know them remotely, but it's like the U.S. right now, the violence is way less than it was in like the 60s, for example. But, you know, like how much violence is covered is 90% more than it
is.
Is
it really
was.
Less?
Huh?
Is it really
less?
less?
Without a doubt, yeah.
Really?
Yeah.
I didn't know that.
The crime rate? We can look this up. We can Google it. Yeah.
Yeah, while you're doing that. Yeah. Well, and I think it's a weird thing to try to keep people against each other, which doesn't make sense of why you would want to keep people divided, you know? And so, find it.
I'm still looking.
Oh. But yeah, I think that when people are divided, it creates more like clickbaity articles, and people tend to get more heated when they have passion for something, and so it causes more coverage in a way. Like if you're on Facebook and your friends share more Democratic things or more Republican things, it kind of creates a feeling inside of you, not you in general, but for a lot of people, and so they either comment on it like that's ridiculous, which once you comment, then it gains more traction. And so I guess it's just like, I don't know if it's intentionally done like that, but it definitely causes more stir, and it's like they want you to be divided to have more of that stir. So, because I don't get why we have two parties, technically three, I get it, but like it's so hard to have thousands of people agree on one or the other. And I think that's probably our biggest problem with politics. Not to go down the political route.
Yeah. It's a dangerous game, friendo.
Yeah. But I do think it's weird that everything else is kind of going to, working together with other sides except politics. So that just kind of goes to show that part of it. It's like you said, media coverage and stuff. So, find it.
Yeah, it's very, when you're talking like crime rates, it's talking about.
It's okay, I'll just put up a little thing on the screen.
Yeah. We'll just,
I'll do that when we're talking.
Okay.
Alright, let's see. What else do we got? How do you prepare for your interviews? So I like to listen to the band a lot once I figure out like who's gonna come on. I'll listen to them on Spotify or whatever they have available, and then I do some meticulous digging, which I don't really want to give it all away, but I definitely tried to really research and listen to their music, and kind of just figure out who they are and why they create the music that they do. I know like one time we sat down when we were doing South Post, and we were sitting there listening to it over and over, trying to figure out the lyrics, because they're a rock band, and so like lyrics are usually pretty important in that. So I wanted to see like where they were coming from, and yeah, so it's just like sitting down and really learning about them, and it's been really awesome. I enjoy every person that we've had on, and they're all crazy talented, and that just kind of goes to show Nashville for you.
Yep.
Like, we live in a awesome city with people who are way above what I can even comprehend.
Yeah, man, and that's something that's great. We're just like, I guess you're just one in the mix of a ton.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, that's like, I don't know, this city is just very humbling, but very inspiring.
Yeah, because as much as that, that's drive you to, you see these other people that have worked their asses off to get where they are. Because, talent just like, there's talent that just like some people have, but really talented people, they've like, while already having some innate talent, they've also like worked their freaking asses off to, because they saw that they have something, and they're like, oh, I know if I really put a ton into this, then I could take this somewhere.
Yeah.
And it's just like, so they put a ton of that work in. And I feel like there's a lot of people out there, and that's one thing that gets me. There's a lot of people that have, talents and could be creative in a ton of ways. It's just they don't, I really think anybody could legitimately, if they put the time in, could play.
Oh, for sure.
Could learn to play some guitar and play.
It just takes a lot of time.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Just that a lot of time. It's like, well, where you sat and played, you know, not saying that I didn't sit and play RuneScape for hours on end, but, instead of spending 16 hours a day on Xbox or on your computer, then spend 8 hours on it, and then spend 8 hours on your guitar,
That's kind of how, like, even now I feel like that, I usually try to work and progress in some small way, whether it's like video editing or marketing or guitar, songwriting, like any of that stuff. It's like always trying to figure that thing out here. And I think that's one thing that Nashville really helps me with, because I know that you kind of see, not that you're in competition with anything, but you're surrounded by all these people and you know that they're working really hard. And so it is inspiring. It's like, if I want to climb up with them, like, then I need to put the effort in. And Cody from Human Condition, he talked about that too, because they're, they have a good draw. They're a little bit above local, and instead of, feeling like you're in competition with them, like, work as hard as they did and be on that stage with them. And that's that was like a big takeaway I had from that one, and it was great.
I watched through that one. That was really nice.
Yeah, that dude is next level.
I loved that pale wave shirt.
Yeah. Ooh, from Lisa.
Oh yeah.
How did your show go? Highs, lows. What things are you looking to improve on? Show was awesome. This was September 20th, something like that.
Just a couple weeks back.
I thought that this was like the first show where Huff really killed it of being a hype man and getting people involved and just like really feeling it, and we had good crowd reaction. That was the funnest thing. It's like a lot easier to play a show when people are like getting down and moshing for some reason.
Yeah, I felt like it was a really hype show. I really loved it. Mm-hmm. It was amazing. And it was just like, in a little comic book store. And it was still just
it was a cool venue and everything. Lows, I think that we're just trying to tighten up our sound. That's the big thing. I'm trying to learn how to do backup harmonies, which I have to work on my singing. We're readjusting some of the vocal melodies for Huff on the main songs because I've talked about it many times, but we wrote it very high in his register just because he could do it, and we didn't think about playing live shows, so now we're tweaking all that.
That Jeff Goldblum quote, he spent so long wondering if you could do it. You never thought if you should.
Yeah. So, and but it's all a learning experience for, like the future songs and stuff. We have an idea of what vocals should be like. It's just that was our first time with, like, especially for Chris and I, because we were always in mainly screaming bands. So we never had to work with vocals, and now we do. So cleans at least.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, so that's the biggest thing we're improving on. Always trying to improve like the things that we can do with our cabs and visual experience. And then getting better equipment. That's a big one for me. Yeah, that was it. Axe Effects, baby. Hit me up if you got an Axe Effects.
Let them have it.
This grown-ass men pissing on the seats at public bathrooms like they ain't got a foot to lift the seat or flush after.
Yeah, man. Have some damn fucking respect.
Yeah.
Men and women out there. All of us as humans. And they.
Yeah.
Since we brought that up earlier.
That is a weird thing to me. I feel like I've always done that. Like, where with my shoe, I'll like kick up the toilet seat.
See, I don't know. I just kind of like I go for it. I just pick
you
that
just grab it.
Bitch up. Yeah.
Some like I'm not like germophobic or anything, but especially I don't know. Public.
It depends where I'm at.
Yeah, exactly.
Oh, if I'm in like if I'm like depending. I won't say that I've always been the perfect gentleman, but if it's like I'm walking into some grody ass gas station, there's fucking no way I'm putting my foot on that thing, and it's already like caked in puss, or puss. It's already like caked in piss, and you see like somebody's shit on the side of it. Yeah. You're like, bro, I ain't touching that shit. So it's just like, well, I'll just try and aim.
Dude, I was in like the porta potty yesterday at the Glow. And little pumpkin patch thing. It was dope. And but it was just like I was like, oh, it's so gross, but I still just kicked up the seat, like I was just like, it's just I don't know. it makes sense. So yeah,
Yeah, it
like,
makes sense.
It is weird. Like sometimes
if you're in like somebody's home, you know.
Yeah.
Like if you
That's
play
fine.
in a restaurant, you're trying to keep it up, and like if it looks like someone's made some effort to keep that place clean, then yeah, for sure. But it's just like, you know, you go into that backwoods 7-Eleven and you can tell nobody's touched that thing in like 3 weeks. It's like, bro, I ain't touching that shit.
It is interesting how it's a thing where if something is clean, you keep it clean, but if something's dirty, you don't give a fuck.
Yep.
You know,
Just
like
your
even
house.
think of like somebody's house. Like you shouldn't, and I don't mean this like in any way, but if you go over somebody's house and like say you're drinking a beer and everything's clean, you just, you know, you're like, oh hey, where's your trash can or something. But if you go over somebody's house and there's shit everywhere and you got your beer can, you probably just like set it down, you know, and just leave it. And it's like I think it's just more subconscious, but it's with it. I feel like it's with that. It's weird how we follow like whatever we're kind of surrounded by.
Yeah, it is.
You know, like how your speech changes depending on who you're around. Like if you're talking around people who talk like a little Southern or something like that, and you start kind of getting that. It's just weird how our minds work to like fit in.
I don't know. I've just felt like, so I know that there's nobody that I know from back home gonna be watching this, so I'll just go into it like hell with them. I feel like a lot of people fake that shit, and it pisses me off. Because I originally had a Southern accent, because I moved up to Kansas from Tennessee. So when for like a year after I moved to Kansas, I was all just like, Tennessee, you know, people would just call me Tennessee, because I'd say I'm from Tennessee, and then so people would just like, I'd get mad hell from it. And then, you know, so I'm like growing up, and I see all these, you know, Midwestern boys who just like, and I'm not saying that they're not country folk in the slightest. I'm not saying that at all. But it's like, you are not from the South, my friend. You don't have a Southern accent. So please. He's like, I always thought that I talked like I had a little bit of a Southern drawl. No, you don't. You're acting like you do, you pussy.
For sure.
And it's just like, you know, when, you know, that one white dude's been hanging around too many black folk, and he's like, yeah, man, I'm fucking shit, you know?
Yeah. Or, I had a friend.
Gangsta.
I had a friend in high school, and he would. I remember like when our voices were changing and stuff when we were kids, and so I guess it was middle school, elementary, whatever. Fuck you. And but our voices were changing, and he would always like, you know, like talk really low, be like, "Hey guys."
Like, yep.
Yeah.
I'm a fucking man.
Yeah. I'm really old now. But and that shit would always drive me nuts. And he did like develop like a lower kind of voice, but there was some times where he would talk where he would just really try to.
You already have a low voice. Look.
Yeah.
Like you're not Josh Turner, okay?
Yeah.
Baby, look, them doors are turning.
But yeah, man, it's interesting.
But yeah, man, people just really
I like how we just did two but hey mans back to back.
Yeah. Hey man.
Hey man. Yeah. I think that was it. I'm probably forgetting something, but.
Well, I can't remember what I've forgotten. Need to remember all.
Damn, that was a really long gap. Sorry. So, That Metal Show. That's all my dad said. That Metal Show. Did you watch That Metal Show?
What, like, which metal show? That one?
That Metal Show. It was just called That Metal Show. And it had the chicks on the trampoline, you know, like in between. Was it That Metal Show? Or that was a man show. Dude, I don't know. I was a kid, but I do remember That Metal Show.
Metalocalypse?
No, it was called That Metal Show because I remember.
I don't remember.
Yeah, they just did like interviews with like metal people.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Like M Shadows was on there.
Oh, was he?
Yeah.
Yeah, I didn't watch
That was right after Hail the King came out, and I remember because they're older dudes, and not older, but like our parents' age, and they're a lot more hard rock, and they had M Shadows on after like Hail to the King came out.
Fucking old.
Yeah.
Jesus.
Who?
Like Avenged Sevenfold.
Oh, they're like late 30s now.
Yeah,
I think.
so it's like.
But no, I was saying the people who host That Metal Show.
Oh, okay.
They were into like, like the Metallica and stuff of the day. Yeah. And when they had M Shadows on there, it was like right after Hail the King. I was like, and they were like, I didn't really like your stuff before, but this album was really good. And I was just like, man, which is a great album, but it's no City of Evil.
Yeah, oh, that's right. Man, I remember I was with a buddy of mine one time, and like they were on the cover of Guitar World right after Nightmare came out,
Mm-hmm.
and I looked at that, and I remember the first thing that came out of my mouth was just like, God, they look like shit. You know, I just I was like,
I still think of them as like back when, you know, like Live in the LBC or All Excess.
young boys.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
got the
Like our age
piercings,
now,
yeah.
you know,
Yeah, man. and-
partying.
But it's just like, well, I also kind of was like, well, you know, the Rev had passed too,
Yeah.
so I kind of gave them that, and I feel like that really had to been like a defining moment for them to have to like, you know, grow up and start taking things seriously because they realized, you know, like losing a friend, there's nothing.
Yeah, I can't
know?
even imagine.
You know, I had to bury one of my best friends when I was, you know, when I was 20, and so it's just like having something like that, you just really start putting life into perspective, and it's just like you can either take it and you can, you know, overcome it and you can become stronger from it and be thankful that you got to have them in your life, you know, and which they obviously have shown to have done that, you know, and they're gonna forever be in his honor. Rest in peace, my dude.
Yeah. That dude was a crazy talented.
And we just got to be thankful we got to, you know, have them for what we did, and then, you know, they stay strong, or you can just like let it tear you apart, and you know, and you can never quite get past it.
And they have Brooks now,
they have Brooks now, you know,
he's fucking ridiculous.
Which was, you know, one of Jimmy's idols. So
yeah, that guy blows my mind. So
dope sauce.
Dope sauce.
Speaking of dope sauce.
Yeah.
I don't know. I don't know. Kind of made me hungry a little bit.
So, all right. I think that's it.
Well, it's been chill. Thanks for your questions.
Yeah, thanks so much.
And I'll try to not pee on any toilet seats.
Yeah. Archive number 22. Out.
Peace.
That was a shitty snap. Thanks for checking out the video, guys. Like and subscribe. Hit that bell icon for notifications. If you want to take it a step further, we got a Patreon page. Help videos like this keep coming. Thanks, guys.